Welcome back to Old Fox Racing PlayStation. Welcome back to the World Grand Theft Championship. We are in round 2. Mugello, of course, with the Ford GTE, as we will be for this entire championship of 10 races. And this is race 2 of round 2 after Diogo Silva won race 1 from Diogo Almeida and Andrew Dalby. We are here again at Mugello for the second race of this round, and pole position now for Darren Head, followed by Diogo Silva, Rob Oldham, Simon Allen, Jorge Jesus, Diogo Almeida, Kev Allen, Andrew Dalby, Scott Davely, Gonçalo Mota in 10th place, followed by John Scott, Jumbo, Wayne Robinson, Sid Waters and David Emge. We have 15 drivers in this race. Look at that grid of cars and the way they go, and it's a good start by Darren Head and also by another driver. Who is that? That's Rob Oldham. Rob Oldham up into second place. Look at this 3 wide there into turn 1, and Rob Oldham is challenging for the lead of this race. This tight racing there in the pack. Kev Allen there battling with Andrew Dalby, and Darren Head maintains the lead of this race. There's Wayne Robinson and Darren Head still in the lead of this race, followed by Rob Oldham, and who's in third? That's Jorge Jesus, I believe. Jorge Jesus is in third place. It's very difficult to follow so many cars. Look at Simon Allen in fourth, 50th Diogo Almeida, 60th Andrew Dalby, and this is the replay of the start from Andrew Dalby's perspective. In turn 1, he's side by side, I believe, with Kev Allen, with Diogo Almeida ahead of him. They're 7th and 8th. And Andrew on the outside there as the leaders go through turn 2. And look at this, almost 3 wide there. And and someone went off there. That was Diogo Silva, I believe, in the black car. Went off. Look at this, Andrew Dalby getting hit by Simon Allen as well. This is from Diogo Silva's perspective. He is in 4th place. Not the greatest start by Diogo. There's contact there with Simon Allen, and there's going to be more contact now. And Diogo Silva, and he is in the gravel trap and cannot use the reset button. He is losing an enormous amount of time. He is going to go to last in this race, so not the start that the winner from race 1 wanted. This is the replay of the start by Simon Allen. Diogo Silva is in 4th place. They are side by side. The top 3 are already gone. There is a bit of contact there, and Simon is ahead. And Diogo Silva was just trying to go on the outside there, and contact happened. And Simon Allen retains 4th place. Look at Rob Oldham there on the inside, defending from Jorge Jesus. That was close, hard racing here. As the top 4 now go through the Arrabbiata corner. We'll have one more replay of the start with David Emge in 15th place, and immediately, well, he doesn't go to 14th because that was Sid Waters going around Wayne Robinson. Wayne in 14th spot now, as a bit of pushing and shoving there with John Scott going very wide in turn 1 and dropping quite a few positions. There goes Diogo Silva on the right, and this is and this is Wayne Robinson and John Scott have collided actually. That was a bit of an optimistic move there, and when Wayne Robinson is. This is the replay of that incident, as they were trying to be on the same piece of track. Incredibly, John Scott actually went ahead into 13th place, and 14th is now Wayne Robinson back into the top 4 as they go. Finally, we go live again in this race as they go towards the Arrabbiata corner. Look at Jorge Jesus. He's running very wide, and Simon Allen is potentially planning a move here because he's got a better exit and better entry into the double right-hander. Darren Head is in the lead. This is Andrew Dalby in 6th place. 50th Diogo Almeida. Someone is off there. Someone is off. It's Simon Allen. Simon Allen is off. Simon Allen is off. Simon Allen is off. We are still on the first lap, and already several drivers with their races compromised. We've seen this a fair bit in. Look at this hard hit there for Simon Allen. Fortunately, no damage in the Old Fox Racing PlayStation. Look at this, the entire field is going around him, and that's well, he's literally dropping to last. No, 14th actually. Diogo Silva is ahead of him now, and look at David Emge also trying to get that position from Simon Allen. Simon Allen already with his race compromised, as is Diogo Silva, the winner of race 1. Look at this, a bit of pushing and shoving there, as John Scott is behind David Emge. Something happened to Kev Allen as well, which we have not seen. Oh, David Emge goes wide there, and here comes John Scott in 10th place. Now something has happened. Oh, what's going on? Kev Allen is shown is in 14th spot, and we have not necessarily seen what happened with him, but anyway. Oh, it was Kev Allen, sorry, not Simon Allen. I'm mixing the two Allens again. It was Simon Allen. No, it was not. It was Simon Allen that went off, and Kev Allen also had a problem. So the Allens are now 13th and 14th, and Diogo Silva is up into 10th place. All sorts of things happening in this race there at the back, but at the front we have a relatively stable situation with the top 3 separated by, well, less than a second. And here we are on board with Jumbo. He wasn't in race 1. He didn't qualify very well for race 2, but he's already up into 8th place, and that's a good opening stint by Jumbo. He is behind Sid Waters, and Sid doing a great job as well. Remember, he was towards the back in qualifying, but he basically benefited from a number of drivers having all sorts of problems on the opening lap. Diogo Silva, both the Allens, John Scott and Wade Robinson also collided, so pretty much well, a lot of drivers making mistakes. Here is Simon Allen now on David Emge. This is for 10th spot, as well, Diogo Almeida, is this leaderboard really working? Because Diogo Almeida is now shown in 15th spot as well. So I'm not really sure, but something must have happened with Kev Allen and Diogo Almeida. I'm a bit confused to what it was, but Simon Allen anyway, he is in 11th and now attacking 10th. Look at some of the drivers that have gone up with all this mess. Scott Davely up into 4th place, Andrew Dalby in the top 5. Simon Allen is trying to get into the top 10, and I think he's going to get it, or is he? No, he's not. And contact between the two drivers as Simon tries to hold on to that outside line, and it seems to me that he's going to go up into 10th place. Jumbo is in 8th, and this is a few moments ago. Yes, this might enlighten us on what happened to Diogo Almeida, and Dalby and him were battling. Oh, and Diogo. Oh, and then he's off. Hard racing there. In turn 1, Diogo Almeida is ahead but runs wide. Here comes Andrew Dalby into turn 2 on the outside, and this was a fair move. Oh, Diogo just runs a bit wide and ends up pushing Andrew, and then Andrew comes back to the track and with no intention, you know, hits Diogo again, and Diogo ends up, well, losing an enormous amount of time. And this is what happened. At least we figured that one out. He drops to last. Look at how tight this field is. Basically, Diogo didn't lose that much time in that spin, and he drops to last because the difference between the gap between 1st and 14th is like 16 seconds. You only need to lose a few seconds to get to the back of this field, as Sid Waters is now in 7th place behind Gonçalo Mota. Gonçalo, a driver that we have not talked about very much in this race. He did a good job in race 1, and now he's, oh, Diogo Silva collides with I believe that was Jumbo. That was Jumbo. Diogo Silva again involved in another incident. He was up into 9th place. Let's see the replay to see if there was any contact between these two drivers. Well, there was contact, but I'm not entirely sure how this was initiated. There is Jumbo in the second Arrabbiata, and he's running a little bit wide, and then, oh, nowhere to go for Diogo Silva, and he gets caught in the second incident of the day, and of course loses a lot of time. He's going to go down to last again as Jumbo spins, and he's on his roof. Quite a heavy impact there. Jumbo is well, he's down to last. Yes, he is. He's in 15th. 14th is Diogo Almeida. 13th is Kev Allen. Then is Wayne Robinson. Diogo Silva is in 11th behind John Scott. John Scott up into the top 10. And David Emge in 9th. He was overtaken by Simon Allen with Sid Waters sitting in 6th. Gonçalo Mota up into the top 5. Nicely done there. And something has happened to Andrew Dalby. I think it was still a result of that incident with Diogo Almeida. Yes, it was, because he had to go through the gravel. And he did not lose as much time as Diogo, but lost still a lot of time. And pretty much, I think everyone except the top 3, top 4, well, top 5 have made mistakes. Look at Rob Oldham here, under pressure from Jorge Jesus, and trying to put pressure on race leader Darren Head. As Jorge is now, well, look at these guys, they're absolutely nose to tail, first, second and third. All drivers that didn't do that well in race 1. Rob Oldham in particular, he had problems with his controls on the first lap and went to the back, and then took him a while to recover a few places. Now he's sitting in second place and very close to the leader. But Jorge Jesus has other ideas. The man who, of course, scored pole position for race 1, but ended up in 5th or 6th. I can't remember. But a couple of mistakes and incidents made him drop back a little bit. Look at the top 3. They've absolutely checked out. There is Scott Levy. Here comes Jorge Jesus on Rob Oldham. Jorge Jesus on Rob Oldham. That was a good move, I would say. Good, clean move there by Jorge in going into second place, and Rob dropping to third. We are still on lap 4 out of 12, so plenty of racing still to come in these races. They are about to complete another lap, and this is Andrew Dalby, who is in 9th place behind David Emge, and behind them it's Diogo Silva, who is up into the top 10. That's because someone has dropped back. That was John Scott. John Scott, something happened to him. Look at this, Diogo Silva on the inside now of Andrew Dalby, and these two drivers finished on the podium in race 1. They were first and third. Now they are battling for 9th place in this race. What a change from race 1 to race 2. Here comes Andrew Dalby on the outside of David Emge, and Diogo Silva is trying to follow him. Can he do it? I don't think it's going to work, as Andrew Dalby does overtake David Emge, but Diogo Silva is still in 10th. 11th is Kev Allen, who has not recovered a lot from the incident. We have not seen 12th is Diogo Almeida, and then is Wayne Robinson, John Scott and Jumbo. Jumbo, of course, with a very damaged car, visual damage only, but he did lose quite a lot of time in that incident at the Arrabbiata corner. And here is Diogo Silva now trying to get up into 9th place, and Andrew Dalby already in 8th spot. And look at this, look at that number 19 doing good defending there, and oh, now running a little bit wide, but David still ahead of Diogo. Diogo in fact now is under pressure from and someone is off there. Someone is off there. We have not seen who that is. Someone is off. It's Simon Allen. Is it Simon Allen? I believe it is Simon Allen, and this is a type of incident we have seen. Oh, and this is Sid Waters running wide. Simon Allen was in 7th. Oh, and that curb has caught so many drivers in race 1 and in race 2. Look at this, he barely lost a couple of seconds. He gets passed by 4 or 5 cars. He's down, he's outside the top 10. Well, he's in 12th place, because now here comes Diogo Almeida up into 11th. Up into 10th goes Kev Allen. 9th is now Diogo Silva, and David Emge in 8th now. 7th is of course Andrew Dalby. Here comes now Simon Allen. Oh, Simon Allen. Oh, and he's going to spin again. Is he going to spin again? Oh, not again. Simon Allen loses more time and more positions. There goes John Scott. And now this is Diogo Silva on David Emge on the outside, exactly like Andrew Dalby did the previous lap. Here comes Kev Allen trying to make it 3 wide into turn 1, and who is it going to be? Diogo Silva is holding on to that outside line, and potentially is going to go now into, oh yeah, did they touch? I don't think so. Oh, an almost contact again, but they did not touch. But David Emger runs wide trying to defend the position, ends up losing 8th place and 9th place as Diogo Silva goes up into 8th and Kev Allen goes up into 9th. Look at this, the battle is for the lead because Jorge Jesus, after moving up into 2nd place, is putting pressure on race leader Darren Head, and Darren could have here his first win of the season of this Grand Theft Auto Championship, as Jorge Jesus also seeking his first win of the season. We are still in race 4 out of 10, but already multiple winners this season with Simon Allen and Diogo Silva all winning races. Now we probably will have a new winner because Simon Allen is sitting there in 12th place and Diogo Silva is not doing much better. He's sitting in 8th, so and the top 3 have definitely checked out. Look at this, Scott Davely already 9 seconds away from the leader, whilst the top 3 continue to appear on the same screen. But Rob Oldham crucially lost a little bit of ground there, and now the battle is just between Darren and George as we are on lap 7, so 5 to go when they next cross the line. And it seems to me that George Jesus has a bit more pace than Darren had at this point. He just needs to find a way to overtake, and these two guys have tangled in race 1, remember, right about here, as it's really narrow with this gigantic Ford GTE. Oh, and George Jesus is off. George Jesus is off. He's rotating. He avoids a full spin, but does not avoid losing an enormous amount of time, and this potentially is quite crucial for the lead of these races. Now Darren Head for the first time has a bit of breathing space with just under 3 seconds, well, 2.5 seconds a gap now over Rob Oldham, who returns to 2nd place. Now the battle is between Sid Waters, Andrew Dalby, and a recovering Diogo Silva, who is in 8th spot. No, Kev Allen. Oh, Kev Allen spins. Kev Allen again caught out in the same place. This is going to be a replay of... Yes, it is going to be a replay. This curb, this inside curb. I completely lost count how many drivers have done this exact same accident. And Kev drops down to 11. John Scott up into the top 10. John Scott was in 14 just a few laps ago. Been doing a good, consistent job to recover some ground as we are approaching, well, we are already in the second half of this race. Look at this. This is Sid Waters defending or not defending from Andrew Dalby. Andrew Dalby up into 6th place. And here comes Diogo Silva, is trying to follow him. And now behind these guys, it is Diogo Almeida in 9th. Diogo, of course, had that incident with Andrew Dalby. Look at that, he's not that far behind. Diogo Silva on the outside of Sid Waters, and this is for 8th place. Ooh, a bit of contact there. Some flying pieces. I'm not sure whose pieces they were, but Diogo Silva manages to get up into 7th place. And Sid Waters dropping 2 places in a few corners, as Andrew Dalby now up into the top 6. Now these drivers are behind Gonçalo Mota. It's 7 seconds, and they are lapping faster. Well, not necessarily. Gonçalo Mota also with very good pace, 146.427. So I don't think that unless there is a massive mistake by anyone in the top 5, that Andrew Dalby and Diogo Silva, who are doing very well here, recovering ground, but not necessarily to get into the top 5, as Darren Head continues to lead this race. The gap, the last time we checked, was 2.3 seconds, and now it's 1.7 seconds. So Rob Oldham is trying to mount a challenge, but he will need to get closer. Oh, look at George Jesus again sliding there in the last corner. This is not what George wanted. He is losing ground. Oh no, he's lost it again on the start-finish line, and look at that, he is now 5.9, well, 6 seconds behind the leader. He is going to get caught by Scott Davely if he's not careful. Scott in 4th place, and 5th is Gonçalo Mota. These two drivers have done a great job in race 1, especially Gonçalo, but now Scott not so well in race 1, but now coming back with everything in race 2 into 4th place and potentially a podium if anyone in the top 3 makes mistakes. John Scott, we saw him in 10th place. He's still in 10th place. 11th is Kev Allen after that spin. 12th is Jumbo. Jumbo has been recovering some ground, and I'll tell you a driver who has not been recovering any ground whatsoever. That's Simon Allen. In fact, we saw him lose 12th place. He's down in 15th place. Not the race that he wanted, Simon Allen. So this is one probably that he's going to drop at the end of the season, as we now followed the battle for 6th place, and there's a battle between Andrew Dalby and Diogo Silva. Diogo Silva trying to salvage some points here to see if he can retain the lead of this championship, as we are now really in the closing stages. 3 laps to go at the line, and the problem for Diogo is that Andrew Dalby is also lapping very quickly indeed, and on the last lap he was even faster than Diogo, 146.0 against Diogo's 146.4. There is David Mgue. We saw a shot of also John Scott earlier. John continues to be in 10th place. And here is Simon Allen in the very unusual 15th place, as David Mgue is running wide there, and so did Simon, trying to follow him. Gonçalo Mota is getting closer to Scott Davely. This is an interesting battle. In fact, he's quite close to Scott. And potentially we have a battle. No, not potentially. We do have a battle for 4th place here. And a great race for Gonçalo Mota and also Scott Davely, as they are now. Diogo Silva has actually overtaken. Andrew Dalby. We haven't seen. Well, we are going to see it now. A few moments ago, as Andrew, is he going to run wide? No. Well, yes, he's going to run wide, and quite considerably wide, into the gravel, and Diogo takes 6th place. Now, where are the drivers ahead? Well, they are very much 8 seconds ahead, so I don't think neither of these drivers will have time, and not even the pace to recover, because Diogo Silva was only half a second faster than Gonçalo Mota in the last lap. The leader is already in lap 10. Here is Rob Oldham, 1.3 seconds now, so he's getting closer, but he's running out of time, as Jorge Jesus retains 3rd, but he's he was 6 seconds behind. Well, now he's just 3.6 seconds, so he's running look at the time of Jorge Jesus, a 1:45.045. That's absolutely flying. If only he could be more consistent with his laps, he would certainly be leading this race, as Scott Davely continues to defend from Gonçalo Mota. And there's still a bit of a gap between these drivers. It's not that they are battling wheel to wheel here, as the leader is going to finish lap 10, 2 to go at the line. So really approaching the end of this round, and potentially 3 different drivers on the podium compared to race 1, which had Diogo Silva, Diogo Almeida and Andrew Dalby on the podium. No, the best out of these 3 is Diogo Silva, currently in 6th. And look at Andrew Dalby, he's dropping back. He's definitely dropping back, because Diogo Almeida is up into 7th place, and that was a good move by Diogo. Andrew down into 8th place, and the other driver to finish on the podium. Well, look at that, they're 6th, 7th and 8th, were 1st, 2nd and 3rd in race 1, but they are with 5 other drivers ahead of them, as Rob Oldham is now very close to Darren Head. Are they on the last lap? I don't think so. I think this is the penultimate lap, but we will need to check the leaderboard to assure ourselves that this is not the last lap. 12 laps here at Mugello. And yes, this is not the last lap, 2 laps to go, and now the gap is under a second. So Rob Oldham, could we see his first win in an official race in All Folks Racing PlayStation? Look at this, he's coming with everything. Rob Oldham, he has probably better tires at this point. And Darren Head, oh look at this, a piece of another car is there in the middle of the track. And Rob Oldham is, well, is he going to have an opportunity here? Look at this is Kev Allen in 11th. And Kev has been yo-yoing between the first half of the leaderboard and the second. John Scott is still in 10th, but Sid Waters losing a bit of momentum in the later stages of the race is under pressure from John, and even more pressure is coming from Kev Allen. Look at this battle for 9th place, it's absolutely brilliant. And let's see how it pans out, as Kev Allen is going to go for it here. No, he was too far behind. Now anyone for the inner curve here? No. Oh no, look at this, that's a mistake there by Sid Waters, and here comes John Scott now. Surely this is the opportunity, but Sid goes defensive and protects the racing line, but John Scott is having none of it, and he's going to try to go side by side here. Not the greatest idea to go side by side here. Oh, contact between the two. Contact between Kev Allen and John Scott, and Kev Allen is again facing the wrong direction. He is oh look at this, he is giving the position back to John Scott. The problem is that Jumbo also, and what has happened here, I think that John got delayed there and then just got hit by Kev as well, as a racing incident as it can be. But look at Jumbo, very opportunistic, going up into a top 10 position, and that's good to see after that incident earlier on in the race. This is Andrew Dalby now trying to recover 7th place from Diogo Almeida. The leader is already on the last lap, and the gap is just 0.3 of a second, so we definitely should go and check the battle for the lead here. Last lap of the race, and look at Andrew Dalby now. Ooh, nice exit there from that right-hander in the initial section of this Mugello circuit. Certainly it seems that Andrew Dalby could still challenge for 7th, but can we have the race leaders please, because they are battling like there is no tomorrow. 0.4 of a second and a few more corners to go. Look at this, Andrew Dalby on the outside there of Diogo Almeida, now into the Arabiata section as they continue to battle for 7th place. This is the battle for the lead, just a few more corners to go, and Darren Head could have his first win of this season, first win of the Grand Theft Championship, as Rob Oldham has one more chance and he's too far behind. So Darren Head just has to complete this last corner with no mistakes, and the checkered flag will be in the air for Darren Head, winner of race 2, round 2 here at Mugello, with Rob Oldham finishing in an excellent 2nd place, and Jorge Jesus completing the podium with the 3 different drivers from the podium in race 1. Here comes Scott Davely and Gonçalo Mota to complete the top 5, and Diogo Silva, he has recovered some ground, but not even close to being enough to challenge for a top 5 position here. He finishes in 6th. Look at this, Diogo Almeida and Andrew Dalby battling to the line, and Diogo Almeida is going to finish 7th, and Andrew Dalby is going to finish in 8th spot. 9th is going to be Sid Waters, 10th is going to be Jumbo, 11th is going to be John Scott, 12th is going to be Kev Allen, 13th is going to be Wayne Robinson, 14th is going to be David Emge, and 15th and last is going to be Simon Howard. Not the race that he wanted, but I'm sure that he will recover in the rounds to come. There is the confirmation of the win. Darren Head, Rob Oldham and Jorge Jesus is your podium of race 2. We'll see you in the next round. What a race it was, and we'll see you shortly in more All Folks Racing PlayStation action. Thank you.